Joining us now, live in the swamp in Washington, D.C., Congressman, 9th District, Virginia, Morgan Griffith. Congressman Griffith, great to have you, sir.
Great to be with you.
Now, today's the day. We understand today's the day where your vaunted leadership of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives is going to unveil their tax plan. True or false?
That is true as of this moment.
And so when will it be out? What time?
My understanding is sometime later this morning. We're going to have a meeting here in less than an hour, and they're going to go over some of it with us, and then it'll be unveiled, so to speak, by the committee chairman later this morning.
And the committee chairman, that is, who will unveil it?
Kevin Brady.
Okay.
Brady of Texas, yeah.
And he's Ways and Means, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so he will outline it. Now, this is, but we don't really know what it is, right? We know what the president, the guidelines he has given and what they want, but until they actually unveil it, we don't know what it is. And, of course, we all know that the moment they unveil it, the Democrats will start blasting it, and no matter what it is, they'll say it's a tax cut for the rich. It'll destroy the economy. All of a sudden, they'll be concerned about the debt, even though they are never concerned about the deficit. But then all of a sudden, they'll be saying, well, now they're concerned about it, and we can't rise the debt. It's not revenue neutral, and it's all for the rich, and middle-class people get screwed. That's what they're going to say. Doesn't matter what it is. That's their script.
We haven't even unveiled it yet, and they're already saying all those things. And
they don't even know what it is, and they're already saying it.
Yeah. But the framework guarantees that the middle class will be the big winners. And everybody will get some form of tax relief. The system will be reformed. It will help grow jobs in the United States and not encourage jobs to be overseas. I believe you will see all of these things. But until we see it for sure, we can't give you the specifics on how it's going to do what and so forth. But, these are the parameters that the president agreed with the House and ostensibly the Senate that we would do, and that's what I believe that Chairman Brady's bill will show us this morning. That being said, I got to see it before I can give you any particulars.
Well, you actually have to see it, and you actually have to read it, unlike what Nancy Pelosi said about Obamacare. Congressman Griffith, let's get to yesterday. The president, in no uncertain terms, saying that he was going to go to Congress and ask Congress to get rid of the diversity visa program, which was part of George H. Bush's Immigration Act of 1990. Is that something that you are in favor of after the tragic events of Tuesday in New York City?
Well, it didn't take Tuesday's events to convince me that this program needs to go, and you touched on it earlier when you said that, there's no vetting, and that's part of the problem. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody who's come in under that program is a bad citizen once they've become citizens. I once had a swimming coach who came in that way. But it's a silly program. The swimming coach didn't even know she had applied. Her sister filled out the form for her. And she suddenly got the notice that she won. It's like a lottery. She won the lottery. She got to come to the United States. Well, that's all fine and good, but let's make sure we've got folks who are committed to, and this lady has been, but committed to adopting, the values of America, the principles of America, and is really excited about winning the lottery. You've got people who are just signing up and they just pull them out of a hat. It's crazy. We want people to, I want people to come into this country who want to share in the American dream, just like my ancestors did, who come here to work hard, hope the government will stay off their back as much as possible, and share in the belief systems that we have in this country of individual liberty and freedom of religion. That's what we're looking for. We need to vet people, not have a lottery to come into the United States.
It's a crazy program. I mean, and then, of course, you look at what happened, and you have to ask yourself, who else is out there? Congressman, when somebody can go into a Home Depot, spend $19, rent a truck with a Walmart card, with a prepaid card with $100 on it, and then mow 8 people down and injure 12 more, 8 people dead, and it took basically $100. That's it, and a driver's license. That's all it took. I mean, you really got to think hard about who you're letting in the United States. I mean, this is just reality. And look, we all want to be pro-diversity, and we all want to reach out, and we understand that we're a country of immigrants, but we also can't be stupid. And this is a stupid program that absolutely has to go, and you're spot on. Congressman, let's get to the governor's race. Ed Gillespie closing the gap. This is what all the polls show. I think he's got a heck of a shot to win, but he's got to get a big vote in the 9th district, and he's got to get Trump voters out in the area that you represent in order to have a shot to win this race. Now, he's distanced himself from the president for basically 18 months, hasn't appeared with him in a rally, doesn't appear with Trump supporters at Bikers for Trump and things of that nature, trying to thread the needle. What is your message to Trump voters in the 9th district about what to do on Tuesday, November the 7th?
Ed Gillespie is trying to get elected governor so that he can work for the same principles that the president stands for. And if you believe that Ralph Northam would have anything positive to say about President Trump, you're mistaken. And it's absolutely imperative that we get out and vote for Ed Gillespie. That's what I would tell him, because Ralph Northam is going to do everything he can to undermine the Trump agenda.
What about those people in your district who tell me they're voting, they're upset with Ed over the way he's treated the president, and they're voting for the Libertarian candidate, Cliff Hyra? What do you say about that?
Well, and what I would have to say to them is that you're basically voting for Ralph Northam. This is going to be a close election. It could come down to a couple hundred votes, as we saw with Mark Obenshain 4 years ago.
Right.
And if you want to have somebody in there who's totally opposed to the president, understand that the president and Ed are okay. I'm not going to say they're great because I don't know, but I know that the president has on several occasions made positive statements about Ed. The president understands that you've got to get folks in office who will at least agree with you on 80 or 90% of the stuff. If you're looking for 100%, you're never going to get there. Now, that doesn't mean he won't tweet something, but he understands that, which is why, to help us get something out of the House on health care, he worked with members of the House to reach a compromise. Unfortunately, that didn't work out in the Senate, but it worked out in the House. We've built a framework on tax reform working with the president. Did he get everything he wanted? No. Did we get everything we wanted? No. But we will see that framework is brought to fruition because the president understands that, and he understands that having Ed Gillespie across the Potomac in Virginia is 1,000 times better than having Ralph Northam if you're trying to get your agenda pushed through. I would also I have to tell you, I will mention to all of my friends, Ralph Northam has changed. I don't know what happened, I don't know why he changed, but to go from the guy that I knew casually when I was in the House of Delegates to a guy who's protesting outside the NRA headquarters, something has changed there. And in our area, the ability to keep your Second Amendment rights is very important.
Well, look, I don't know what's happened to him either. I said earlier, it's like he's leading a double life because the Ralph Northam that I knew as lieutenant governor in 2013, 2010 is not the same Ralph Northam now. I mean, I was the editorial page editor at the Daily Press, and he was running for re-election in 2011, I believe, and we unequivocally backed his candidacy there, and I backed him in 2013 for lieutenant governor. But look, it's all about power and winning, and so when you change so many times, I mean, just yesterday he does an interview on Wavy TV, and after voting for sanctuary cities, and then he said there are no sanctuary cities, now he says a week out, if new legislation is put on his desk as governor, he would sign it to ban sanctuary cities. So first he was in favor of sanctuary cities. Then he said there are no sanctuary cities. And now a week out he says, well, I changed my mind. There are sanctuary cities and I would support a bill in order to ban them. I mean, that's 3 positions in 3 months. How do you define anything this guy stands for at all, Morgan?
Well, I'm not sure he stands for anything other than he wants to be governor. and that's not a good reason to be governor. And my experience in 20-plus years is that when somebody just cares about getting to the office, they usually don't do a very good job in that office.
All right, look, I think Ed can win, and I think if he does win, two things happen. Number one, he's going to be a great governor. I have no doubt in my mind, because Ed is Ed. Everybody knows who he is, what he believes in. Everything is out there. He's got 100 plans for everything. I said the other day he's got a plan on how to keep rabbits from eating your garden tomatoes. I mean, the guy's got a white paper on everything under the sun. I mean, he's a policy wonk, but he is who he is. But the other thing is, if Gillespie wins this race, Morgan, Griffith, it changes the entire Democrat national narrative going into the midterms. It completely changes it. They have to come up with something else, because what they're going to say is, look, the tide is turning. There's this resistance against Trump. The Democrats are going to win all these seats. They're going to take over the House. They're going to take over the Senate, etc. If Gillespie wins, that all is gone. It goes out the window. And then they have to come up with something else, right?
Well, they're very creative at coming up with new things at the last minute, as we've seen with the candidate Northam. The Democrats will come up with something. It doesn't matter what we do. But that being said, you're right. It makes them change. And in fairness, they may actually think they have to start working with Trump. So I think it's a real advantage both for Republicans in the state and for Republicans nationally if Ed Gillespie wins. I mean, you've got to realize that Ed will actually sign those 100 and some bills that McAuliffe vetoed. A lot of those are really good bills that we need to move Virginia forward.
All right, I got to take off. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. I want to thank Congressman Morgan Griffith for being with us. More information, griffith.house.gov. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Truck